Hello, teachers. I just want to walk through some resources that we have available within our iReady curriculum that may be very helpful in helping you prepare for the state assessments for both reading and for math. So to kind of launch that discussion, the first thing we need to maybe zoom in on is what content would be best to review going into the tests. Right here on this page, I have a link for this in the guide. This is where the test blueprints are found from the DOE for each grade level. If you open up one of these, it'll give you the blueprints for all subjects that are tested at that grade level. This is what we use as the basis for our curriculum maps when we color code by pink, yellow, and green for the priority. So on our, this is our fourth grade math map. And you can see everything that's in pink is something we know for sure is going to show up on the ILEARN test. So my recommendation would be to go back, especially to the first quarter content that you haven't taught in a while, and look at what standards are pink, maybe some yellows if you have the luxury of time, and be able to focus in on those particular standards as we prepare for iLearn. Now for language arts, those maps are still in progress, so we don't have this color coding for a lot of grade levels quite yet, although I am currently working on those. So hopefully that will appear for you soon. But for reading language arts, you will want to go to the IDOE's blueprint to gain that information about which standards are going to be most heavily tested. Okay, so I'm just going to choose here this critical standard from fourth grade, multiply whole numbers. C2 is that standard. Now let's hop over to iReady and see what we have available to us. The number one thing that I think is useful to you is something we've been using throughout the year, and that is those standards mastery tests. We use those for RTI. We, after we teach a critical standard, we use the standards mastery test to see how our students have mastered it, and then we use that to guide our RTI instructional groups. At this point, though, I think we can use standards mastery in a different way, not so much for assessment, but to model and practice for that test. So if I go here to assess and teach, and then assessment, here's the standards mastery section. It is available for both reading and math, and it goes all the way down to grade 2, actually, if you need to dip down a little bit below your grade level to start with. So I'm going to go in here to math, and we're going to be on grade 4, and we're going to look for that particular standard that I was referring to. So here's Form A and Form B. Now, instead of assigning it and actually assessing students with it, what I would recommend is that you just preview it, bring that test up on your screen, and then walk through the process with your students. Model for them how to pick apart this question, figure out what the question is asking, what pieces are necessary, maybe some that aren't, how you would approach it, how you would eliminate some answers. In some cases, maybe how you would explain your thinking. I don't know if we have any in this particular example, but how you would explain it if you need to write something out in words. And so you can model through that process. That is not only going to review the subject area content with your students, but also just test taking strategies that many of them lack. So that's my recommendation for you to just go through different standards mastery tests. It does hit the depth of knowledge that's required by iLearn, and they are very, very similar on point types of questions. I honestly think these are just as valuable as the repository items that the state released from past iLearn tests. Another option that we have, at least for math, is if we go to the teacher toolbox. So assess and teach, teacher toolbox. And in your grade level, you'll have an assessment practice tab. Now, because we don't have the toolbox for reading, we do not have this piece for reading. We only have it for math. But here you will find several versions of national assessments that are very, very similar to Indiana's iLearn assessment. These are PDFs. So you can bring these up on your screen and annotate on them with your new line or open them up in Kami in order to annotate on them and be able to do the same process, walking through through the test taking with your students. One of the nice things about this one maybe is that the page looks a lot like the iLearn test does, with the answer blanks and show your work types of things looking like that. So this is another great resource that you can use, at least for math, to help practice and prepare for the iLearn tests. If you have any questions or have trouble accessing any of these materials, please make sure you reach out to me. I'm happy to help.